So the Pakistani elections is something that everyone has been watching. The independence bloc continues to swell its tally. Now, these are the candidates who are mostly the members of Imran Khan's party, the PTI. And Nawaz Sharif's party, the PML-N, on the other hand, appears to be emerging as the single largest party in the assembly. But interestingly, it is the independents who appear to be the biggest bloc in these elections. Now, in a speech that he addressed to his supporters, that his supporters have dubbed as a victory speech, Nawaz Sharif said that he's ready to make a speech and touted that is touted as a victory speech. The celebrations are already underway in Lahore. The Sharif have said that his party is the largest one in the assembly and can sit with others to provide a stable government for the future of Pakistan.
एक दफा नहीं कई दफा कह चुका हूं I love you too. Muslim League Noon is the largest single party in the country today after the elections और मैं समझता हूं कि हमारा फर्ज है कि इस मुल्क को भंवर से निकाला जाए। सब पार्टियों के मैंडेट का एहतराम करते हैं जिनको भी मैंडेट मिला है। हम दिल की गहराइयों से एहतराम करते हैं, चाहे वो पार्टी है, चाहे वो फर्द वाहिद है, चाहे वो आजाद लोग हैं। हम उनको भी दावत देते हैं कि इस जख्मी पाकिस्तान को मुश्किलात से निकालने के लिए आओ हमारे साथ बैठो।
But there is still a lot of drama that still remains in this political pot boiler. Pakistan is evidently heading towards a photo finish. Millions of Pakistanis are glued to their mobile phones and television sets to catch the latest results, and the latest numbers are on your screens. So the PTI-backed independents at this moment appear to have got the clear lead. They've got 88 seats. The PML-N has got about 61. The PPP has got about 50, while others have got 18. These are numbers at this moment, although this tally can still change. Now, the independent candidates who started with a bang in the morning continue to surprise everyone. These are some of the images from Lahore, where candidates from the jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan's PTI party and their supporters protested outside the election counting office.
वोटों के ऊपर ठप्पे लगा रहे हैं, निजायज वोट बहुत ज्यादा इकट्ठे कर रहे हैं, इसलिए ये वोटर साहब के किसी भी बंदे को अंदर नहीं जाने दे रहे, ये जुल्म कर रहे हैं।
Now remember, Imran Khan at this moment as we speak is behind bars and he's been barred from contesting elections. The cricket bat election symbol was also taken away from Imran Khan's party, the PTI, before the polls. But in typical Imran style, his cornered party members appear to be roaring back, just as the cricket team that he had led back in the 1992 World Cup.
क्योंकि यहाँ तो हमारा विधेय सब लोगों का पता है जो इमरान खान ने जितने सीटों से जो आज़ाद उम्मीदवार है पीटीआई का, न कप्तान है, न झंडा है, न निशान है और न जो है बैनर वगैरह है, फिर भी हमने मैदान बांट लिया।
इलेक्शन तो बहुत ज़बरदस्त हुए हैं और जिस तरीके से कल हालात चल रहे थे, बिल्कुल बहुत ज़रा पुरअमन माहौल था और फोर्सेस ने बहुत ज़बरदस्त अपना किरदार अदा किया है। जहाँ तक हमें उम्मीद थी कि अवामी नेशनल पार्टी जीतेगी, लेकिन पीटीआई मर्रा ले गई है, लेकिन चले हार जीत तो लगी रहती है, मगर पार्टी वो जो आके अपना किरदार दिखाए और हम लोग चाहते हैं कि चाहे कोई भी आए लेकिन मुल्क संवारे।
But despite the gains, the independents are far from the magic number of 133. Nawaz Sharif is holding firm. There are also reports that his party, the PML-N, is now approaching many independent candidates. Most of the seats won by the PTI-backed candidates are in the party's stronghold of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. The former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's PML-N is holding firmly in the most populous province of Punjab. Now, candidates who run as independents can nominate affiliation to any party within 72 hours of their victory, a practice that frequently leads to horse trading and deal-making in Pakistani politics that could potentially spoil the PTI's success story so far. And to give us more updates in terms of what is unfolding at this moment in this potboiler of an election, we're being joined in by Pakistan Bureau Chief Anas Malik, who's joining us live from Islamabad. Anas, you've been tracking the developments that are unfolding. We just heard from the former Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif in what his party workers described as a victory speech. But the fact is, the PML-N under Nawaz Sharif this time round has performed not to the expectations that perhaps a lot of his own party members would have had. But still, Nawaz Sharif claims that his party is looking like it has emerged as the single largest party. What is the Nawaz Sharif's plan of action from here on to see if he can form the government?
Well, Saleh, we definitely have something inside, and that is that there is no single party that has emerged. While you were reading, this dashboard right behind me has changed, and now we have the breakdown or results of 221 seats that have been announced out of the 265 on which direct elections were held. And the breakdown is, the party position is that 90 independent candidates have backed the seats. Then after that, followed by 62 seats backed by the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, 51 by the Pakistan People's Party, 11 by the Muttahida Qawmi Movement or the MQM, 2 by the Istehkam Pakistan Party, 2 for the Jamiyat-e-Ulama Islam, and 2 also for the Pakistan Muslim League Qaid-e-Azam, while 1 seat for Pashtunkhwa Milli Awami Party. So that is the breakup. We're still awaiting results for 44 seats. I'm sorry, I'll have to turn again and continuously see because this keeps on changing. The results have been pouring in. We've been reporting throughout the day, and this keeps on changing quite rapidly now, quite literally rapidly.
Right.
So the reason while we're still talking, this might just change. But the plan of the action for Nawaz Sharif, to the second part of your question, I think he's pitched his brother, Shehbaz Sharif, as a potential candidate for prime ministership. He's also said that he respects the mandate. Not sure what he means by that, because these independents which are currently in lead, 90 of them, they've got 72 hours and 3 options. Either one, that they remain with their independent status. Number 2 is that they form a new party, or number 3 is that they join a new political party within 72 hours of their notification and their victory. So the clock is ticking for these 90 independents, and it remains to be seen on which side they will be swinging to. The People's Party is trailing right behind the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, and there's not much of a margin there.
Absolutely, indeed, Anas. And also very quickly, we heard that speech from Nawaz Sharif. What are you picking up at your end? Does it appear that Nawaz Sharif not just is looking at the independents, but could also be looking at some kind of a coalition government going forward?
There is a potential for a coalition government going forward, and this image, what you see behind me, is a reflection that Pakistan will be having a hung parliament and a coalition government. We can probably have a repeat of what was earlier when Imran Khan was ousted from power in April 2022, some sort of a democratic movement or an alliance version 2.0. That is one of the options. But again, it's a bit too early to speculate or conclude on that, for one very reason. Nawaz Sharif has asked his brother Shehbaz Sharif to contact all the political parties, that including Asif Ali Zardari, the MQM and other parties as well, and seek their alliance or seek their opinion on the matter of the alliance. So it's going to be really interesting as to who the agreed upon candidate would be in case if Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz decides to go ahead and form a government, Saleh.
Very interesting. Thank you very much indeed, Anas Malik, for joining us and getting us all those updates. They will of course come back to you as more details emerge in this story. And also to give us more perspective in terms of what has, of course, played out so far since the counting of the votes has begun, we're being joined by Ms. Rahim Khan, who's a journalist, and she's joining us live from Lahore. Now, Ms. Khan, these elections are as crucial as they get. But as things stand at this moment, it appears that the independent candidates backed by the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf have quite clearly emerged as the single largest bloc. Are you surprised at how well the PTI-backed independent candidates have done?
Not at all, thank you. I'm not surprised at all. I think they're not all PTI-backed independents. There are a number of independents who or which are not affiliated with any party, and they're also up for grabs. So I think that just before the polling day, I tweeted and I predicted that the single largest party would be the independents. I think that this is by design. Perhaps a lot of people would say that. And I was listening to Anas and yourself as well. And I think that the problem has been so far that the journalists or the analysts have been a little bit more clued up than Nawaz Sharif himself. And only until yesterday, when he went to the polling booth, voting for one of his allies, he was questioned by a journalist and about a hung parliament. And he point blankly, categorically said that that's not what they're looking for. And in fact, he said, please, for God's sake, don't say that. We can't afford a hung parliament. We want power. We want power in the center. We want to be making some strong, empowered decisions. And of course, in a hung parliament, you do find yourselves a little bit limited. There are constraints. You have your hands tied. You have to appease everyone, all the parties and all of the actors who are part of the hung parliament. And this time, if they're independents, and mind you, if these independents are affiliated with PTI and they have agendas which are constantly clashing with those of Nawaz Sharif, then it could be a very, very difficult run. I didn't expect, and a lot of analysts here were expecting Nawaz Sharif to let go of power and perhaps offer it to others. And I think that might have been a wiser decision since this is going to be a very difficult, very, very tricky situation to get everyone on the so-called one page. Shahbaz Sharif, of course, is more likely to get some success because he has better relationships with Pakistan People's Party. I know for a fact that Shahbaz Sharif and Bilawal Bhutto enjoy a far more cordial relationship than Bilawal Bhutto and Nawaz Sharif. So we could be looking at Shahbaz Sharif sitting in the Prime Minister's chair, and I don't think he enjoyed the last 18 months of the PDM government, and this is going to be even more trickier because it is looking like too many cooks spoiling the broth already.
I think it's interesting that you're pointing out that this appears to be a clear case where the PML-N may have to work with the PPP all over again. I'll just come to that in a bit, but at this moment, I want to dwell a little bit more upon what Imran Khan must be thinking at this moment. As a cricketing captain, he said that he does not give up until the last ball is bowled. But with the fact that the independents have now emerged as the single largest bloc in the Pakistani National Assembly, what do you think would be going on in Imran Khan's mind?
That's a bit difficult. I know what's going on in our minds, and we are thinking that had he been a little bit more emotionally mature, had he been a little bit more politically savvy, had he shown a little bit more restraint and handled things democratically, politically, and opted to speak with the opposition or with those in government after his ouster back in 2022, things could have been very different. He wouldn't have been languishing in jail as he is at the moment. So I hope that there is a period of reflection and introspection, because even though these independents have picked up the vote based on that skipper's fame and celebrity following, I'm not entirely convinced that they will toe the line that an ousted and a jailed leader is expecting from them. So I think that these independents are not, they might be PTI affiliated up until the day of the polls, but I think the PTI voters and the skipper might be in for a surprise of where they go, who they opt for, what are the choices that they make, because they're all looking for a home. This is not a party. This is not PTI. These are independents, and the rules that apply to a party do not apply to an independent, because clearly that he or she is an independent. So I think everyone is going to be in for a surprise, and it's going to be a little bit of a chaotic mess.
I think that of course is something that we'll watch out for the course of the next 72 odd hours. Now, my final question to you, Ms. Khan, is this. Now, before the election, a lot of people thought that, you know, with the convictions going against Imran Khan, a lot of people thought that this is an election that the PML-N is quite clearly the front runner. Do you think PML-N's optimism was misplaced? And do you think that these elections have again shown that Imran Khan still continues to be the most popular leader within Pakistan?
I think there are two things here. I think that Muslim League known Nawaz Sharif, particularly because he's had 3 stints at it, shouldn't have fallen into the trap that Imran fell into. Imran was a newcomer to politics. I mean, I think that Nawaz Sharif and Isaac Dar, they've been there for a very long time. So for them to fall into this trap of expecting to be the Ladla is quite odd, because they've been here before. We know very well that in Pakistan, the Ladla is forever changing, and there's no one who is a perpetual Ladla or the chosen one. So I think that Imran's popularity, of course, has been hijacked by these newcomers, these opportunists. Most of them are lawyers who have jumped at the opportunity of getting a ticket. They would never have dreamt of this opportunity to sit in the parliament. And I think that Imran's party has been hijacked. That is, of course, a valid point you make, that at least for Imran, he is not provincially specific, as in the voters do not see him specific or limited to one province. And that, I think, a lot of the leaders needed to develop. Bilawal Bhutto is beginning to develop that. And he's tried to make an inroad in Punjab, but has been sadly defeated in NA 127. But that's something that I think we can learn from Imran. Shehbaz Sharif is not welcome in Karachi, and Bilawal Bhutto seems not to have impressed the Punjabi voter enough. Right. Similarly, I think that many other leaders are very, very restrained by their nationalism, and restrained or constrained, rather, because of their rhetoric. Imran has managed to capitalize the fact that he does have a presence in all 4 provinces. But again, I hope that he's realizing his mistakes today, and that the ego is parked for some side. Maybe there is a lesson to be learned. You know, Nawaz Sharif is back after 6 years of incarceration and exile. Right. And he's back with a chance to sit in the parliament. And hopefully, maybe in the next few years, 6 or 7 years, Imran gets a chance to reflect and maybe is guided by his voters and supporters, because really today's winning vote has been the fact that PTI voters have actually shown a lot of ability to discern between opportunists and those who have been long-term party workers. So they have made the choices, the correct choices, that maybe the leadership should have done a very long time ago. In fact, they've gone as far as rejecting those people who were disloyal to the party leadership, and Imran particularly. And that, I think, is something which the PTI voters should be respected for. And I hope that the skipper can learn a few lessons from his cult following.
I think you've summed it up beautifully, and it remains to be seen as to how many of these independents, as you say, will continue to remain loyal to the PTI. Thank you very much indeed, Ms. Rahim Khan, for joining us and getting us that perspective.
Thank you. Thank you.
And also my colleague Anas Malik is still with us. Anas, this of course is the business end of this election. Now what we are looking at this moment as we speak is that the independents are quite clearly the single largest bloc, but the independents are not a party, and they would of course behave differently over the course of the next 72 hours, because now they have a time frame in which they have to decide as to what their future course of action would be. Now you've been tracking all the developments for us from Islamabad. Give us a sense of how the independents at this moment are looking at these results that have come in, because the independents quite clearly seem to have done better than what anyone expected them to have performed.
Well, it would be a test of loyalty for the independents, and that's what would be going on in their minds as well. We haven't had the chance to speak to any of the independent candidates as I talked to you, but we've been covering the elections both from Lahore and from Islamabad. Yesterday morning, when the polls opened, before the networks went down, we were in Lahore, and today after the networks were down, we drove down to Islamabad, and even today as well, we are here live from Islamabad. Largely speaking, the test of loyalty is there. Not just that, the test of patience is also there, because there'd be attempts to do horse trading. There'd be attempts to do a floor swap as well. All of the parties would want them, both the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, which is the runner-up, and the Pakistan People's Party, which is third in place, would ideally want the independents to be on their side, because whosoever gets the sway of independence does get the simple majority. So the clock is ticking that way, Saleh.
Right.
And the next 72 hours remain very crucial in Pakistan's electoral politics going forward, Saleh.
Absolutely, indeed. The next 72 hours, this of course is the moment of truth, where things look, it appears that the election is of course thrown up a bit of a hung result. No single party is anywhere close to that magic number of 133. Thank you very much indeed, Anas Malik, for joining us from Islamabad. We'll of course come back to you as of course more details emerge in this story. But as things stand, this of course is what quite clearly has happened in the elections in Pakistan, where it does appear that the independents, most of them backed by the PTI, are the single largest bloc, but it is the Nawaz Sharif-led PML-N which has emerged as the single largest party. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.